quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
But the particular Swedish model as regards COVID, why we should have followed that. Meanwhile, there are 10 million of us now living in some form of additional restriction. Some are in the northeast.
She could have friends already at school, but then she can't after 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Is the virus just suddenly minded nature? No, buddy. Drop a statement, yeah, we need the truth.
Yes, Alan Shearer's views there, dear on LBC 716. LBC News headline Simon Conway.
Continue on M4 for 9 miles.
Lockdown is the last line of defence against coronavirus. The government will do whatever is necessary. New restrictions have come into force in the northeast of England, affecting around 2 million people. And official figures show retail sales increased by 0.8% in August, the fourth consecutive month of growth. The weather sunny for many, windy in the south, a high of 22 degrees.
LBC travel out to no delays on the M25 and clockwise to the north for tunnel after a car broke down. All the lanes are now back open. Very slow on the A40 from the target roundabout at Northolt just after Harrier Lanes. That's going eastbound, and that's because a car's broken down and one lane is closed. In Islington, Liverpool Road is partially blocked at Islington Park Street after a burst water main, and also in Hackney, those traffic lights still not working on Mayor Street at Graham Road.
This is LBC.
At Morrison's, we're making price cuts on the things you buy every week. Like nutmeg nappies. A 56-pack of size 3 ultra-dry nappies was £3, now £2.69. And a 32-pack of size 6 ultra-dry pants was £3.35, now £2.99. And these prices will be held low. Morrison's, making price cuts. Majority of stores and online subject to availability selected packs.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973. This is LBC.
Many things about the way we live our lives, including the way we shop and pay, have changed. So all next week, LBC will be partnering with Visa because how you pay matters. Every day we'll be joined by specialist guests to discuss topics ranging from fraud prevention when shopping online to making secure payments in person. That's this Monday and all next week, thanks to Visa. To find out more, head to lbc.co.uk.
You don't need an office. You need an office. You don't need a shop. You need a shop. You don't need contractors. You need contractors. What your business doesn't need one month, it might need the next. So at O2, we are offering flexible tariffs to help with the ups and downs ahead. Search O2 Business. We're here to help your business flex.
Terms apply.
Thanks to new government guidance and the hard work put in by everyone in our team, we're able to safely reopen TDC dental implant centres and get back to what we do best, restoring confidence and beautiful smiles. So, if you've been suffering with loose or painful teeth or have trouble with dentures, take the first step and find out how you can benefit from our award-winning Smile in a Day dental implant treatment. Book your no obligation consultation at smileinaday.co.uk.
Face off the butter, Russian cognac, and then Bombay. Unfortunately, Pension B can't make you celebrity chef confident, but we can transfer most our pensions together into one simple online plan with UK
your idea of a military bloke or woman is a tremendous one.
It should have been General this or Major General that.
Well, the bloke, whoever the bloke or woman, whoever the colonel in chief was who built all the Nightingale hospitals.
Well, that actually sounds quite
Brilliant.
They used it for the Nightingale, so why didn't they use it for test and trace? And you've got these army bases and what have you all across the country in the middle of nowhere where you could have set up huge test and trace, and it would have been done like that.
Mate, I think that's an absolute belter. You'll probably see that in my column on the Sunday Express, by the way. There'll be no credit to you, but I will think of you. Thank you, as I got on with the thing. In fact, I mean, I'm going to put that, let me write that. I'm going to put that to my handbook as well. And they were such a stalking success with the Nightingales. Why didn't we turn to them? Okay, Ian, thank you. I think you're head boy of the day. We move to other but related matters. We know that there's supposedly Operation Circuit Break on the way. That means England, much of it, the whole of England actually, locked down for 2 weeks in October. It's not confirmed. Again, we'll put that to Mr. Hancock. But for 10 million of it, which is roughly 1 in 7, you're already in the extended lockdowns, particularly in the northeast. Let's go to LBC's reporter, Charlotte Elton, joins me from Newcastle. Charlotte?
Yes, Nick, 2 million people across the northeast of England are waking up with these new tighter restrictions, and many are still confused over what it means for them. Tougher measures have come in for Newcastle, Gateshead, Sunderland, North and South Tyneside, as well as Northumberland and County Durham. It's after a sharp rise in cases, and they really did shoot up rapidly. New infections doubling, trebling, even up by 8 times for some areas in the week. We'll see the first 10 p.m. curfew for pubs and restaurants come in tonight, and there's also a ban on visiting households unless you're in a support bubble. These people in Newcastle told me it's confusing and frustrating.
I can't understand how the disease changes at 10 o'clock at night. I can't understand why my granddaughter's in school until 3 o'clock, and then she can't go to kill her friends already at school, but then she can't after 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I just think it's a bit ridiculous that you say. I mean, is the virus just suddenly working night shift now? You know, 10 till 6 in the morning.
In 2 miles, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
You know, things have developed, and I just think now it's chaos. I'm not totally confused with it all.
We need proper guidance. We need proper statements. And we need the truth.
Health bosses in the region tell me the new rules are desperately needed to stop the virus from spreading further. Local authorities have been inundated with questions over things like childcare and travel. The leader of Newcastle City Council, Nick Forbes, even posted online last night telling people to stop abusing his staff on their phone lines. Though there is a lot of frustration coming in from the hospitality sector. Harry Forrest runs a number of bars and restaurants in the northeast and says this is going to have a major impact on businesses.
These short-term reactive policies aren't helping businesses. Measures like this, you know, it's already hard enough. There's already been a lot of casualties, and measures like this are just another nail in the coffin for small businesses trying to survive in this very difficult environment. And it's going to become even worse this time around than the lockdown, because during that window you had the better furlough system, you had grants from the local councils, you had mortgage holidays on your premises, etc. The rest of it's not available again, and this could have a bigger impact than the actual lockdown.
Anyone breaking the new rules will get a £100 fine, doubling with each repeat offence, and the new rules will be reviewed weekly. Nick.
Charlotte Elmore, thank you. Reporting from Newcastle, where Newcastle is today, of course. It suggested Leeds could follow next week, or indeed England. That's right, in October. Well, Secretary, as I say, with me in the next half of the hour. Let's go to other matters. 7:27. What were you doing on Sunday, August the 23rd? I know that might seem a strange question, but the police have released CCTV of a man they want to speak to following a confrontation over face masks that led to an NHS worker being kicked and left unconscious on a bus in North London. The victim, who's 63 and works for NHS Track and Trace, was punched repeatedly to the floor, then had his head stamped on 5 times during the unprovoked attack by another passenger. This was on the 149 bus shortly before Seven Sisters Station at around about 9:45 p.m. CCTV footage shows around 5 minutes later the suspect followed the victims towards the back doors, with the NHS worker going to try and put some distance between them, and then without any warning launched into a violent physical attack. August 23rd, and the police release the video now, September 18th. I'll give you the police explanation in a moment. Hamish Brown is former Metropolitan Police Detective Inspector. Mr. Brown, I don't need to tell you about what's called the golden hour. We've now spent more than over 3 weeks. What is the point? Why not release the video closer to the time? Good morning.
Good morning, Julia. First of all, this incident is absolutely terrible. My heart goes out to the poor victim. It's utterly appalling. Yes, the police are investigating, and there are different sorts of levels where they make public appeals. And in the first instance, they're bound to look locally. I don't know the ins and outs of this.
No, I appreciate that.
I wonder if it's associated with drugs or alcohol or something like that, and the person, they may be easy to pick up. But if not, and if it puts out too much stuff to the public, they will lose interest in it one after another.
But they put it out now, do they?
Get the right impact.
I hear what you're saying, but they put it out now, so obviously it's deemed to be a...
In 300 yards, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Closer to the time.
Yes, it does seem a long time. It depends what inquiries they're made up, and indeed what the workload is. But it has run out, and people have information, get hold of the police, and they can talk to them in confidence, of course.
Hamish Brown is a former detective inspector with the Metropolitan Police. Thanks, Hamish. I need to tell you the Met said just this morning the appeal has been issued.
Exit at junction 3.
All local inquiries to identify the suspect have been exhausted, and so now a public appeal has been deemed appropriate. The 23rd of August. Can you remember what you were doing on the 23rd? I can't remember what I was doing last Saturday. Well, I suppose it was Saturday. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It is on the LBC website. The suspect, I would suggest, probably in his 20s or early 30s.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the third exit onto the Parkway, A312.
A white t-shirt, and it looks like blue tracksuit trousers, carrying a drink of some sort. It's on lbc.co.uk. Quite why it's taken 3 weeks to make the video of a vile attack by a man who simply said you need to wear a mask. That was his crime. He had his head stamped 5 times. We'll come back to that conversation. Coming up after the news, I want to know whether you're carping, as Jacob Rees-Mogg might suggest, or whether you see the test and trace as a phenomenal success. Later in the hour, you'll hear from Matt Hancock. Later in the show, I'll be making the case why we should follow the example of Sweden. We should see the lessons that can be learned, as politicians like to say. There, 7:31. This is Breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari, here on LBC. The news is with Simon Conway.
The Health Secretary Matt Hancock says a new national lockdown is the last line of defence against coronavirus. Scientists advising the government have reportedly proposed one lasting 2 weeks in October to deal with rising cases. New restrictions have now taken effect in the northeast of England. Scientists say a portable COVID-19 test, which gives results in 90 minutes, could make a huge difference in hospitals this winter. The COVID Nudge, which has been trialled in 8 hospitals in London, can be used at a patient's bedside without needing to go back to a lab. Official figures show retail sales last month were 4% higher than in February before the pandemic fully hit the UK. The Office for National Statistics also says volumes for August rose for the 4th consecutive month. The weather fine and dry with sunny spells, windy in the south, cloudier for the far north of Scotland with a few spots of rain, a high of 22 degrees.
This is LBC.
We all cough and sneeze occasionally. We can't change that. But you can help protect your
Exit the
staff
roundabout
and
onto
get your
the
business going
Parkway.
again with acrylic cough and sneeze screens from WorkShield. Designed to click together in seconds, there's a WorkShield for every use in every business. From just
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
Order now and save an extra 10% on all products with code radio. WorkShield. Get your business going. Price excludes 20% VAT.
So you've been holed up a lot this year. The place has got a little, let's say, lived in. At Wix, we'll create your dream kitchen from design to show-off ready. Get started by downloading our kitchen brochure for ideas and inspiration. Then speak to us about getting your new kitchen installed for Christmas. Sale offers now available. Cure your house embarrassment with Wix. For more details on our offers plus qualifying spend, terms and exclusions, visit wix.co.uk.
At Morrison's, we're making price cuts on the things you buy every week. Like your breakfast favourites. A 6-pack of croissants was £1.50, now 99p. And 454 grams of raspberry jam was 65p, now 59p. prices will be held low. Morrison's, making price cuts. Majority of stores and online, subject to availability.
I wash my hands to protect my family.
I wear a face covering to protect my mates.
I make space to protect my colleagues. Hands,
Face.
space.
I wash my hands to protect strangers.
I wear a face covering to protect other passengers.
I make space to protect you. Hands.
Face.
Space. As we spend more time indoors, we need to do whatever we can to help protect each other from coronavirus. So please, wash hands, cover face, make space.
The real reason Sleeping Beauty fell asleep was because it was taking so long for the palace to sell. And the handsome prince needed the proceeds to buy their new home with no time to dwell.
I know who can help. Property Rescue. I'll contact them straight away.
So he spoke to their friendly team who took care of every detail. They bought the palace direct with no legal fees to pay. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
Make for worry breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Almost 7:35. Back to your conversation. I want to know whether it's a phenomenal success or you're going to carp over test and trace. Jason, you'll be the next caller on that. Let's dive into the world of business and key or crucial sales figures today. UK retail sales details now from Accuracy Exchange commentator David Buick. What's the story at Tills, David? Morning.
Morning to you, Nick. Well, as just more or less in line, the August year-on-year figure was plus 2.8%, comes down from plus 4.1% last month. The month-on-month basis is up 0.8%. Estimates for there are 0.7%. And ex-fuel is 0.6%. It's
In 200 yards, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the second exit and stay on the Parkway, A312.
But retail sales are up 4% since February. That's February to the end of August.
Okay. Should we talk about one of the giants on the high street, John Lewis?
Yeah, of course. Dame Sharon White, the chairman, well, she's had to really throw the kitchen sink, as they say. So she declared a loss yesterday of £635 million. Everybody's going to say, what? Well, hang on a minute. The reason for that is that 470 million of it is a write-down of the values of their property, which I think is a really sensible thing to do. And it also includes a 200 million loss on sales. What is depressing out of all this, in some ways, is there is no bonus for any staff for the first time since 1953. The bonus has become less meaningful since 2010, when it reached its zenith. It was about 17.5% of each person's remuneration, and it's now down to naught. The one thing I can say, that if this whole rejuvenation of John Lewis is going to work, and I have every reason to suspect it will do, the pain that they have to do to see the gain, and let's hope the second half of the year will prove a great deal better.
We move on, actually staying on the high street. He's known as
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway. Continue on A312 for 1.5 miles.
Daniel Kretinsky, who is a 3% shareholder now in Sainsbury's, and he's a real predator, and he really understands what's going on, and he obviously feels, having looked at Justin King's performance over a period of years and seen a slight...
He's the former chief executive.
Exactly right, yeah, sorry.
That's right, no, that's
and he 10 years running, he produced increase in sales.
Phenomenal. Obviously, he's running test and trace.
There we are. But the fact remains is that, you know, he's obviously seen a chink in that, so he's gone in there, and I think when you bring somebody of that stature who's got a pretty good track record, you think, the one area I don't know is his previous stink build has been in the Royal Mail, which I don't really get. But then I thought about it, my disease-ridden mind working overtime, that's got to be taken over sometime soon, Nick, hasn't it?
And a lift in shares,
Yep.
nearly 3.5% up, so they obviously like it. Yeah. Talk again a little under an hour time. David Buick.
Make for worry breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Jason, I'll talk test and trace with you in a moment, but I want to continue with money matters just briefly, and something that might affect you if you're fortunate enough to have savings, although I appreciate, as we come through these difficult 6.5 months or so, not only what you do, but the Bank of England has taken another step towards negative rates amid rising COVID infections and a looming unemployment crisis. The MPC, which is the Monetary Policy Board, unanimously voted to hold interest rates at this record low of 0.1%. But minutes of the meeting, released yesterday, said it had been briefed on the bank's plans to explore how a negative bank rate could be implemented effectively
returns are pretty close to zero at the moment,
Yes.
and there's no prospect of it getting any better.
What is it hoped to achieve? What do economists hope a negative interest rate brings about, Sir John?
Two things. Firstly, it does usually feed through into borrowing rates, so there is some prospect that people with mortgages could face lower rates if the bank rate goes negative. That's what's happened in other countries, so that encourages people to borrow and spend. And secondly, it feeds
On housing, Sir John, or on everything, sofas and tellies and cars, or what?
I'd have thought mainly, I'm talking mainly housing, right? And rates on other stuff tends to be much higher. The other effects are things like it affects the exchange rate. We saw that yesterday. It pushes it down. That's good for people in Britain trying to sell goods abroad.
But not good for my listeners going on holiday to, if they manage to get a holiday, overseas, of course.
No, no free lunches here. But the other thing it does is to feed through into other asset prices.
In 300 yards, turn right onto Roslyn Avenue.
And indeed potentially increase the value of real estate.